Thanks for coming along to the Data Widget. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how the amazing Data Widget operates. There are actually two flavors of the Data Widget. One of them is the Data Widget with APIs. This includes a technical integration guide, and the Data Widget can be incorporated into any application, particularly a web-to-print application. And the second flavor is a Data Widget with a checkout. This Data Widget incorporates a shopping cart, secure credit card payment, and instant downloads of mailing lists. So let's get started. There are 4 databases available within the Data Widget, although each Data Widget can be configured with as many databases as you wish. So let's click on the individuals. So we have these 4 databases. We have the National Consumer Database from Experian, updates every 30 days. And like all of our data, it's guaranteed to be at least 95% deliverable. Second database is new homeowners. These are people that have purchased their own homes in the last 12 months. It updates every week, and again, it comes from Experian. Third database is new movers. Again, it updates every week. It includes homeowners and renters, and again, it updates every week. And the fourth database is the business database, national business database of the highest available leads available, and they update every 30 days, the whole database. So let's take a look at the consumer database. So let's click on geography. Now under geography, you'll notice that we can select the geographical area for our search by 3 methods. We have the whole US, we have zips, cities, counties and states. We call this a manual geography. And you can mix and match as many of these as you like. And then the third method is a radius around an address. We can draw a radius of any size around any address in the US. So let's start off with the manual geography. So let's start off, let's say, with a particular zip code. I just type in the beginning of the zip code, and I'm going to choose 85255 in Arizona. Now you'll notice a couple of key points. Top right shows you how many leads there are. So there are 11,450 households in the consumer database in 85255. If we have a look below, it asks you for how many leads you want. You can select as many leads as you want, so long as it exceeds the minimum and doesn't exceed the particular count. And if we look below, you'll see that there's a price for the number of leads that you've selected. There's also a price list. This price list with the quantity breaks can be set for any of the databases, and it can be configured for each individual widget for your application. So let's close the price list. Now let's go to demography. Now we have about 300 demographics within the database, and we can switch on and off any of the database demographics that are available, making the data widget particularly appropriate for your use. So here, for example, let's remove any apartments and condos and any PO boxes. Now you'll notice that the data widget is enormously fast, and now it's changed the count. So there are 8,763 households in 85255. And they're only where there are single family homes. Now let's change the income to be only people that make over 150,000 a year. Now you'll notice that the selection has changed, and the count has changed to 3,923. And as I mentioned to you before, we can put any quantity in here we wish, so long as it's more than the minimum and doesn't exceed the count. If we, for example, were to put 2,500 in here, it will pull 2,500 randomly from the database. So with that in mind, let's go back to the geography, and just to show you, let's change this now, say, to Phoenix, Arizona. I'll change that to Phoenix. The map changes, and I'm going to remove the 85255 database. It holds in place all the demography that I selected. Now there's 21,358 people, households. Let's change it now to a radius around an address. So let's do an address in New York. So I'll put 50 West 50th Street, comma, New York. And you'll notice I didn't have to put in the zip code or anything. The pin obviously is the center, and this is the address. The system defaults to a 2-mile radius, and now we have 422 people within the 2-mile radius making 150,000 a year or more and living in a single family home. The reason there's quite few is obviously in Manhattan there are not too many single family homes. So let's remove that now. Now we'll find that there's 44,204 people. The map is fully functional, so we can zoom if we wish. Now, new feature on the data widget is we can actually drag the center point and change it. So let's change this to somewhere on 3rd Avenue. And then you'll notice that the address is all automatically validated, kept it at the 2-mile radius, and now there's 42,678 households that match our demographics. We can change the radius. We can either nudge it up or down 1/10 of a mile each time, or we can actually just type in the radius. So we'll change it to say 0.5 miles. So now it's changed the map, and there's 8,021 leads. But let's just say I want 2,500. We have list preview, which is a first. This shows us 100 rows of the data. It anonymizes the first name, the last name, and the street address for obvious licensing reasons, but obviously those details are in the list that you will download. And then you'll notice in the preview it does add any of the demographics that we've selected. So in this case, it's the income. So we can close that. And then basically by list. Now if this is integrated into a web to print solution or any other application, the list will be added to that application and the checkout will be through that application's checkout methodology. On the data widget with the checkout, obviously the payment will be made through the integrated shopping cart and secure credit card. Let's just now take a quick look at the business database. It's held in place the radius around an address. So we've kept the same geography. But now let's change some of the demographics as now we're in the business database. So let's just say we're interested in doctors. We have every single SIC code, both by code and by description in the database. So there are 1,425 doctors within the half-mile radius around this address in Manhattan. And of course we have other business demographics. So for example, we can choose only doctors that have sales of over $1 million a year. Now there's only 148, that's less than our minimum for the business database. So maybe we could change that, say, to 1 mile, and there's 353, or we could change it, say, to 10 miles, and so on. So that's the amazing data widget. Please give us a call if you'd like to integrate this into your web to print solution, or if in fact you'd like to add the data widget with a checkout to any web page. There are no fees for the data widget, no setup costs, and not even any contracts. Please give us a call at 866-306-8674 or email us at info@leadsplease.com. Thanks for coming along, and we look forward to talking to you shortly.